Hey, howdy folks. It has been a while since I posted a video here. Been laying kind of low, still in the rideshare industry. Anyway, there's been a big worldwide strike and protest of rideshare drivers today going on. We're in the last few hours of the 24-hour strike slash protest, whatever you want to call it. I didn't have a chance to get down here to LAX in Los Angeles, where most people in LA are protesting, most of the drivers here. So I didn't get a chance to get down here earlier today, but I wanted to come here now. There should be people here until at least midnight protesting. And hey, we got one viewer. That's pretty cool. Whoever you are out there watching, I appreciate you tuning in. But my goal tonight is just to check out the protest, see what's going on with the drivers, maybe talk to a couple drivers, see what they have to say. But you know, I think it's an important day for rideshare drivers, and you know, you're not gonna reach your goals about getting the working conditions you want in one day of protest, but to me it's really about bringing public awareness. You know, I didn't expect all drivers to not work. Obviously drivers need to make money, and not every driver feels the same way about the issues, but I do really believe that it's important to for us to organize in some way, because every one of us out there individually, we're not going to have much power to get better working conditions, but if we work together, that can certainly be achievable. So that's pretty cool. So before I walk in through a whole maze of roads and highways and stuff that I have to get across, I thought it would be cool, and thank you to my second viewer tuning in live. I thought it'd be cool to just show you guys a quick little flyover here. We got a plane that should be coming pretty much directly over my head, which will be pretty loud. So let's take a look. See if I can read the tail number for you. Hey, pretty cool time to tune in, huh, folks? So, if you're just tuning in, I'm out here at LAX, Los Angeles International Airport. I parked my car like really far away. I know there was a shuttle for people who are protesting, but I'm all about that free parking. I mean, I don't know. I just refuse to pay for parking. So, I didn't know the details of the shuttle, but I found some free parking back down Sepulveda. A lot of the parking here is like you can't park after 10 p.m. between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. So I found a parking on some side street near the Del Taco. Don't tell anybody. So that was pretty cool. And now I just have like I think it's like a mile walk to the airport. So let's open up these chat messages and see if anybody got anything to say. I don't think so. But if anybody wants to chime in and share your thoughts, that would of course be appreciated. Do they go? No. I didn't know if I wasn't seeing the chat messages, or if people just aren't too chatty. But that would appear to be the case. Say hello if you're out there. And I'm interested in knowing how you guys feel. Oh, Bobby Green, thank you so much, man. First live comment on one of my videos in 2 years, because it's one of the first videos I've made in 2 years. But that's awesome to see you out there protesting in Dallas. Yeah, I think the most important thing, again, is bringing awareness to our situation. And if I think back to before I ever even drove for Uber, back in maybe 2013 or so, or actually, yeah, that's when I started driving for Uber, 2013. But I want to say I remember around that time, the movement for an increased minimum wage, like a $15 minimum wage, was starting to take a hold and growing more and more. And there were a lot of people out there who said, oh, these are fast food workers, they don't deserve a $15 minimum wage or what have you. But over the past few years, it seems to me like public perception has certainly changed, and it seems like, from what I've seen, most Americans are in favor of a higher minimum wage. They realize that it's almost impossible to survive on the current federal minimum wage, let alone even $15 an hour in Los Angeles would be pretty tough wage to survive on your own. The average apartment out here is, I believe, over $2,000 for a one-bedroom apartment. And if you're making $15 an hour, you're probably barely clearing 30 grand in a year, if that. So you're not going to be able to afford that apartment or anything close to it. But, I do notice now, and it is a bit discouraging, that it seems like we are having a hard time getting public support. People say, oh, they're independent contractors, they know what they signed up for, and things like that. And we all know as drivers, it's really not that simple, because Uber's taken our lives and made their own personal video game out of it. Something, that a lot of people say, Bobby, that's awesome. A lot of people are anti-union, but you really can't argue with the fact that when workers come together and find common ground about, what they want to improve in their working relationships with companies they work for, good things happen. And it's a lot easier to do that when workers come together instead of everyone trying to, argue individually. We've all tried that at the Uber Greenlight Hub. Hey, you didn't pay me for this ride, whatever. They don't care if you're just one driver. But when, we have one common voice and we can unite around some certain ideas, that's really powerful, and that's what we need to continue doing. Because, and I can only point to what's going on in New York City. In New York, they have kind of a weird thing going on in terms of workers organizing. They have something called the IDG, Independent Drivers Guild. It was formed a couple years ago, but it was formed in this weird partnership actually with Uber. And part of the agreement is that they wouldn't form an official union, but at the same time, they're still organizing. And there was also part of the agreement that was they wouldn't strike. So some of the drivers just protested today. It's really weird. And I think Uber did it to try to kind of get good PR, and also to try to please New York City, because New York City is the one place that is actually willing to go to these companies and say, what the hell are you doing to these people, to these workers? You can't treat them like this. They were able to get a wage floor passed in New York City and other protections by organizing. And that's really the point I'm trying to make. And that's the coolest thing. And I think we really need to look at what happened there as an example of, how important it is to organize, because when drivers come together, good things happen. So no matter, whether or not it's a true union, whether you like unions, or whether you don't like unions, whether you want to consider yourself an independent contractor, or you'd rather have more worker protections, again, all you have to do is look at New York City. So I'm not an expert on what's going on there. Obviously, the hurdles to become a driver in New York are a little bit bigger than most other cities. Let me take a look at this comment real quick. So, SC, thanks for the comment. Unfortunately, the only thing that will work is if the government steps in. Yeah, I really do think that that's important, but part of also getting the government to act is, creating public awareness of what's going on. And what I was saying is that people are super comfortable with the idea of a $15 minimum wage, and that's for employees. But for some reason, we as drivers and independent contractors, I see a lot of the public still wants to kind of shit on us and say that, oh, you're just a contractor, but they don't understand that it's this whole industrialized system that these companies have set up with algorithms that were designed by behavioral psychologists who are being paid millions of dollars a year because they know how to influence human behavior using apps. And we all know that, calling it a contractor relationship is not exactly accurate. Everybody who's worked for Uber, yes, you can sign online whenever you want, sign on and off. You use your own car, of course, we all know that, and all the expenses. But if you really think about it, it's becoming more of a thing that in order to actually make money, you have to sign on in certain areas at certain times, and then they give you all the little bonuses and all this other nonsense to really try to craft your behavior. They've studied these things. And another point that I wanted to reiterate is that one of the marketing concepts for Uber and Lyft and all these companies is that they want drivers to believe that it's kind of like a fun video game where you make money. And I know in the Rideshare guys' videos and articles, they've written a lot about the gamification of the app economy, where they tell you like, oh, only a couple more rides to get this goal or that goal. But the real game that I see being played is with the executives and our lives and our livelihoods. I mean, can you imagine being able to flip a switch that says, hey, you know what? We're going to cut the rates down today. Let's see what happens. Let's see who's signing online. It's almost like playing God in a way. Let's see if people want to try to make money or not. How low can we go? So that's the real video game. Back to the IDG situation. Real music for you. Thank you for the comment. The government is already involved. How else can they get away with not paying a minimum wage? Well, it's through the contractor law. And SE, thanks for that comment. Self-driving, absolutely. But at the same time, there's going to be people that are needed for these companies to go on. And it's going to be more than just the executives. They're going to continue to have to hire some kind of labor. And there's going to be more gig work just in general. So it's important that we get protections now while where before we lose even more and before the public cares even less about us. I did want to get back to the IDG and about organizing, and wanted to kind of point out some of the benefits that they've realized there in New York City. And they have things like free eye exams, free contact lenses, free eye glasses. They have legal help for free. Help you get some kind of doctor's appointment. I mean, it's not like they're giving you health insurance, but there's some kind of medical help or assistance or guidance that they give you. I saw you even get paid like $300 for taking a defensive driving course, if you're part of the IDG. And they have people that'll help you if you get deactivated and other things like that. So these are, real things that are helping drivers. And the most important thing, and I don't know exactly the genesis of the wage floor in New York City, but I assume the IDG was pretty involved. I know a lot of politicians must have had to step in and do something. But the way the wage floor works in New York City, it was passed earlier this year, and a little hiccup there. But basically, Uber and Lyft now have to pay drivers, I believe it's $26 an hour and change before expenses in New York City. Hey Camden, thanks for stopping by. And so they have to pay the drivers $26 an hour before expenses and $17 and change an hour after expenses. It's the wage floor. Lyft even went to court to try to not comply with this, and they recently lost. Judge said, nope, you gotta respect the wage floor. I will say in Uber's defense, they respected the wage floor in New York City since the beginning. One of Lyft's complaints about it was they said, oh, well, now we're gonna have to stop hiring drivers. But I would argue that that's something that a lot of drivers would like to see, because the current system as it's set up, I mean, we don't have a chance. Uber wants a driver on every corner sitting here waiting for the next ride because it doesn't cost them anything. But that's not a fair game. If we're investing our time and trying to make an honest living, we should be able to do that. We shouldn't have to, be subject to whatever game Uber wants to play with us with their new algorithms or whatever ideas they have about the sharing economy and how independent contractors should be treated and whatnot. So that's why I think organizing is really important. Again, just look to New York City and, you could say that there's a lot of different regulations in New York City, which is totally true. But at the same time, the city let Uber and Lyft walk in initially. All the taxi medallions there were devalued. If you know about Michael Cohen, President Trump's former attorney, I think he was involved heavily in taxi medallions, so he probably lost a lot of money. because they used to go for hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's basically like a taxi license, and there's only a certain amount in New York. But then when Uber and Lyft started coming in, the value of those medallions went lower and lower and lower, and the city didn't really stop Uber and Lyft totally, so they were able to put taxis out of business. But thankfully, at least they did step in and start regulating things for rideshare drivers. A lot of taxi drivers, I think, in New York became rideshare drivers too. They saw the writing on the wall. So we made it to Terminal 1. Has anybody ever been to LAX? This place is enormous. I absolutely hate this airport. It's just like incredibly poorly designed. It's a big horseshoe. So that's the end. You have to go all the way around Terminal 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever. Tom Bradley International all the way at the end. But it sucks because if traffic gets backed up there, it's going to get backed up here too. And that just happens. It happens all day. It's just a constant cluster job, if you will. Where's everybody tuning in from right now? We will be with the drivers in just a moment, and hopefully my signal will work. Sometimes cell phone reception is pretty junky out here at the airport. But yeah, where's everybody? LA? Marco Polo, thank you very much. Did you drive at all today? And no judgment if anybody drove. Like, I understand people need to make money. People might not feel the same way as protesting drivers. But I think it's cool to get a lot of drivers together and say, we all feel this way. We all feel like we're not being paid enough. Alex, thanks for tuning in. Good to see you. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I hate coming to LAX, but it's not so bad at night. It's not so bad on foot either. Bad part is driving around. That's the stressful part. While someone is trying to call you in a foreign language and have them find you standing at the wrong sign on the wrong level. I don't know if that's ever happened to me, but I've had some pretty crappy experiences here. So I believe the drivers are supposed to be at Terminal 2. I'm at Terminal 1 right now. Just give you a look at how nice and calm and cool it is right now. It is chilling. So we're on the arrivals level. Got to get up to departures. Yeah, look at that pilot hustling. Look at that hustle. It's the type of hustle we need to see these days. Getting his passengers where they need to go. You, sir, are the real hero. Oh, Marco Polo, I'm sorry to hear if you're having difficult times there. Definitely hope things get better. We'll cut the per mile rate, 60 cents a mile here in LA. Waiting in traffic pays more. Yeah, as it should, but I don't know that they've really found a good balance, I think. And to be honest, I think I only did a couple rides since the new rates, and I wasn't sure they were actually paying me at like the Los Angeles rates, because when I log into my account, it says like I'm in San Bernardino for some reason on when I go to partners.uber.com and log in to see the pay rates. But I have to do a ride and actually look at what it says. I haven't done a ride since the end of March, I think, on Uber. Oh, Marco Polo, that's great. Going back to your old job so you have something. Yeah, Alex, I agree. Waiting in traffic sucks. Honestly, Uber in LA wouldn't be so bad other than the traffic. And the traffic is it makes everything so bad, because not only are those rides slow, while rush hour is going on, but also all the unpaid time. You have more unpaid time, because if I have to do a pickup in rush hour, it might take me 10 minutes to get somewhere. It normally would take me 2 minutes.
Thank you for your cooperation.
Even if it's like 2 blocks away in LA, that's how bad things are in terms of traffic. And it doesn't help, again, that Uber and Lyft's business model are have as many drivers on the road as possible. So that makes even more traffic. If they really streamlined things and had to pay for their workers, actually had to invest and say, okay, it's going to cost us money to keep these people on the road. We understand that, but while they're on the road, they're going to be given a ton of rides, making our company a lot of money, creating positive brand awareness for us, etc. And that's, just fair, that if people are willing to go out there and work hard, they should be paid. Anthony, I totally understand your position. It's tough because they've created a system where it's sort of union proof, and it is sort of strike proof too, because obviously surge pricing kicks on if there's not enough drivers. I was looking at the apps this morning. I saw 3.1, I want to say. I have a screenshot of it in LA at about 8 a.m. and plus 200% prime time on Lyft. Those were the highest ones. I wasn't checking like all morning, but I was checking kind of between like 7 and 9. So there was definitely some surge. But it's hard to organize a strike. And, I think you have to remember it's just drivers doing this. It's not people that have millions of dollars to gain that are arranging a strike or a protest or whatever you want to call it. So that's what you have to keep in mind. Spirit Donkey, that's very interesting. That's the kind of money I could make on New Year's. I think I made $550 on New Year's, my first New Year's. So December 31st, 2013. But then they started really playing with the rates, playing with the surge, so it could be controlled. And now that type of earning is like not at all possible. And yeah, whoever commented about the rates in Vegas, yeah, it sounds similar to LA, just crap minimum fares. And you're going the wrong way. Sean, oh no. Wait, where is the, I thought it was at 2. I'm walking like past 2 right now. I didn't think it was at 1. If you know where it is, let me know. Here, I'm gonna switch it around, camera around for you guys. So yeah, I did get upstairs, up the escalator. And I don't see anybody yet. Last I checked the Marco Polo, I thought that the protest was at Terminal 2. Between 1 and 2, Sean, thank you. Zoop. You are the man, Sean. You are the person, I should say. I'm not sure you're a man. It's always your comment, but I appreciate that. So we flipped it back around. King of minimum fares, that's hilarious. I'm the king of minimum fares. We need to get you a little crown. King of minimum fares. That'd be a funny award to give out. Answer me this, why do drivers continue? Why? I think the reason is that because a lot of drivers do enjoy doing this kind of work, and not everybody has options. Not everyone has an education or a specific set of skills or specific experience, and some people do need to do it as a secondary income because their primary income isn't enough. So yeah, there's a lot of things that people do not because they just don't have other options or don't know about other options. People do things for a lot of reasons. Money, and that's why they do it. I think the ability to earn money, cash out immediately, earn on your own schedule is obviously very appealing to drivers. But also you say, why do people do this? One of the reasons people do is because they don't understand the true. Hopefully everybody can still hear me. I had a little bit of a connection issue there. But a company like Uber, what I was saying is they understand the cost of doing business and of operating a vehicle much better than rideshare drivers and most people in the general population do, because they have experts that have told them if we had our own fleet, it would cost us this much money and we'd have to buy all these cars. Let's find all these people to make all of the investment and take on all of the risk for us. And then we can just benefit have all the benefits. So I did reach the drivers. There's still a bunch of people here, which is really cool. They got some signs. This is so awesome. Obviously, we're in the last hours of the protest, but I'm definitely psyched about seeing so many drivers come together here, which is very, very nice. So let's see, we got some other folks live streaming out here. It's pretty cool, but there's some police activity. I believe that's I think that's Dave the Uber slave, I want to say. I've seen some of his videos, so not too many drivers left, but pretty cool that you have drivers like this gentleman holding signs. A lot of good signs out here. Thank you, sir. A lot of good signs about Uber. Uber grow conscious. 60 cents per mile, not a living wage. I agree with all these things. Somebody has a pretty funny sign down here. I want to. Okay, I found my favorite sign of the event. Let's check this out. Watch this. It's a little play on some of the warnings you get from Uber and Lyft. Uber and Lyft, you have been flagged for fraudulent activity. Anybody get an alert in their account like that before? I think I have a couple times. Getting some horns honking, good stuff. And here's all the, let's flip us back around. And there's obviously Ubers and Lyfts pouring by. And again, I don't blame these people. They got to make a living. It's really, again, just about bringing public awareness. So not a lot of drivers left here today. I'm kind of disappointed that I wasn't able to come earlier. I actually had a doctor's appointment that I made before I knew about the strike. I made it like a month ago. So this was the first time I was able to get down here. Marco Polo, I believe we all have money problems, school district teachers strike. Yeah, absolutely. And you can see that when those workers come together, they're able to get something out of it. So they got a new contract, right, with some improved working conditions, I think some improved payments. So good for them, you know. It is taxpayer money, so it's a little bit different, but you know, same kind of idea. So yeah, you're right. I mean, striking and organizing is important. And back to the contractor law issue that I wanted to just talk about a little bit more. You know, Uber and Lyft and these other companies paint the independent contractor relationship that we have with them as very rosy and it's very flexible and we can work when we want. And again, I think we all know that in order to make money, you have to work in certain areas at certain times. A lot of the conditions are very restrictive. The app is obviously designed to direct you to do specific things, like, you know, when you do a Lyft ride and keeps adding riders to your queue, even though you're not saying, I want them. Pretty awesome. We got some support here from some horns beeping, which is always great. So we all know that, you know, it's not like a real contractor type relationship. And hey, yeah, sort of, yeah. You want to talk to us, or? My name's Ezra. Ezra. What's your name? I saw some of your videos earlier. Nakan. Thank you so. I saw on your Facebook page. Yeah. I have some YouTube videos about driving for Uber and Lyft. I haven't actually made a video in a couple years. I work a lot with a rideshare guy. Okay. You familiar with him?
I heard about him. I don't know who he is.
Oh, check him out. I mean, he covers the rideshare industry. Like, and he's yeah, Harry, and he's an advocate for drivers, I would say. I mean, he tries to cover the industry like from a balanced perspective, but he's you know, supports drivers.
Yeah, I don't watch YouTube.
That's probably a good thing. So anyway, I have 13 viewers watching right now live, but
guys, don't forget to support us by signing up at www.drivers-united.org, and we also have a Facebook page. It's at Drivers United Unite, and we have an Instagram page, Rideshare Drivers United, and our Twitter page is at _Drivers_United.
And just let me say real quick, I will add all those links in the description, so don't worry about it.
Okay.
But you're obviously here working with Rideshare Drivers United. You're part of the organizers. Do you drive for Uber and Lyft as well, or have you in the past?
I have
Okay.
driven for both Uber and Lyft in the past. I did for both.
Cool.
And I started driving for Lyft a few times since last September.
Oh, so you've been a driver for a while. I started in 2013 myself with Uber, then Lyft in 2014. And not always a full-time or part-time driver even, but I've always had the apps going. So, yeah, I understand, what's been going on. And a lot of things, some of the things I bring up to my viewers is that, people have a negative image in their mind a lot of times about, I feel I want to do a selfie in like selfie mode and talk to you like a real interview. So, something I was talking about is like people have a negative image in their minds of like unions or workers organizing and things like that. And obviously Uber and Lyft are cool because they do let you work on your own schedule, and they do give you some freedoms. But at the same time, well, for one thing, maybe not, because we all know you have to work in certain areas at certain times to actually make money.
Right.
But
So
it is nice that you can log on and log off when you want. But we also know that it's not really like a contractor relationship like they describe.
Right.
And then the other thing, what I really wanted to talk about was just workers organizing, and that a lot of drivers just have a negative view of that and why we shouldn't. Like, I try to point to what has happened in New York City, because that's a great example of workers organizing. I mean, now they can get things like free eye care, free help with deactivations.
Right.
They get paid to take a defensive driving class, and most importantly, the wage floor. And do you know much about the wage floor and how it was instituted? Because you tell the drivers how that came about.
So basically, the New York people, they advocated for and won a $28 per hour base pay. That means that if you drive around and not get a ping for 1 hour, you get the $28. That's guaranteed.
Right.
But it's actually here. It's really $17 after the expenses. So you're only gonna be like $2 above the minimum wage, right?
Right. But still, here, like when I drive, it's hard to reach those numbers. Like I drove recently in traffic, which was a terrible idea. I thought I'd maybe get some surge, whatever. Maybe these new per minute rates are going to be better. No, they weren't. I averaged before expenses like $14 an hour or something.
Right.
Because I don't do a ton of rides, I'm not getting all the Quest and this and the super duper Quest and so I'm already I'd be happy if I could make $40 an hour after expenses in LA. But I think most drivers know that's not happening.
Right.
And also the whole fallacy, false story that the other thing about being independent contractors, you can now only make good money if you commit to working for one app like the whole week, basically, right? Because of the incentives.
Right. And the thing is, as far as the whole argument of whether or not we're like independent contractors or like employees, that's sort of a moot point, because the California Supreme Court already ruled last year in the Dynamics decision that we are misclassified as independent contractors when we are actually employees. So it's already the law of the land. So that argument is a moot point. You know what I mean? Because and they just came out last Friday. I think it was the circuit, the 11th Circuit, ruled that that decision is applied retroactively, meaning we can so it applies to people can actually sue Uber and Lyft, going backwards. So.
That would be cool. But one issue about that is that they also said that the class, the arbitration is
unenforceable. Right.
Oh, it's unenforceable?
Yeah,
I thought we lost on arbitration.
No. I think in Connecticut it was ruled that
we got some drivers coming by. Let's see these signs real quick.
All right, I'll see you later.
Great. Okay, are you guys done for the night?
I think we're relocating to the Uber.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I come with you guys?
We're going to try to have some presents until midnight.
Okay, great. Whoa, let's do a Inception, live stream Inception, something. I don't know how to do it.
Let's play whoever has the most subscribers wins.
You probably do. I don't know.
That's 15 is pretty good.
I don't know about that.
No, 15 is really good.
Okay.
I remember when I couldn't get one person So 15 is pretty damn good.
Well, I do have like 12,000
What's
some
your channel?
subscribers, but I just haven't made a video in 2 years. So
What's your channel?
my channel's called Rideshare Genius. I work with Harry Campbell. I have like Rideshare guy. So I made a lot of videos like a couple years ago. And
So you're a rideshare genius? Yo, guys, I'm Dave the Uber Slave. Realest channel covering rideshare. Realest rideshare channel on YouTube, for sure. I got like, I'm kicking out kids. People are getting in fights. It's gnarly. So, Dave the Uber Slave, check it out.
Nice. Yeah, check out his channel
Rideshare
for sure.
genius right here, guys.
Thanks, guys. I'll try to make some videos soon. But I definitely wanted to be here and see what was going on and support the drivers. I wanted to make my own sign.
35 minutes?
Yeah, I've been babbling. I was walking down to Pulveda. I parked like probably way past the Uber lot and walked over here. So,
That's cool.
how about you?
I've been here like
37 minutes. Oh my God, we started almost at the same time.
I got here with the pizza.
Oh, yeah, this guy came for the pizza. Pretty cool. So yeah, I'm gonna get on this random bus right now, and
This is the last bus trip.
you guys are coming back tonight or no?
I think we're switching to the Uber lot.
Okay.
We've lost our parking lot now.
Oh,
Where the
got
street
it.
Parking, so everyone's gonna have to relocate to street parking, and there's no street parking near here. You know, it's hard away. We would have to march back.
For
So
sure.
There's more near the way.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
So heading back to the parking lot. But yeah, I mean, from what I've seen, it seems like a pretty successful effort. Just having all these people come out and come together and say, this is how we feel. Our fellow citizens, now you know how we feel. Our government officials, if you didn't already know, now you know how we feel. Jay Musser, what's happening? We're just going, they have some shuttle buses, which is friggin' awesome. Kudos to Rideshare Drivers United for organizing this. I mean, they put together a really awesome protest, really well organized, and they have buses that I think somebody paid for with their own money, and they're gathering some funds I saw on GoFundMe to help pay for these. But we're going over to the Uber staging lot now, just to talk to some more drivers, maybe drum up some more support over there, I would imagine. And also they were saying they're losing their shuttle lot for the night. Oh, Jay Musser. Okay, so basically there's been protests and kind of a strike for a lot of drivers have been turning off their apps for the last 24 hours since midnight on Wednesday until midnight tonight in a couple hours to protest the working conditions that Uber and Lyft have for us drivers. The pay rates, deactivations, also the fact that government is not doing enough to protect us and make sure that we're able to earn a living wage and live a life with dignity and not be part of some tech executive's personal video game where they can see how much people are willing to work for by punching in a couple numbers in their computer because these are actually things that affect us, how much food we're able to put on the table, whether or not we can pay our rent and things like that. Marco Polo, officially they say midnight to midnight, so but it's not a real picket line or anything like that. Like I said, the point is creating public awareness of what's going on, and I don't fault if you want to sign on now and drive, that's okay. But maybe mention it to a fellow driver, hey, did you hear about the protest? Yeah. It's really just about drivers getting the message out that, hey, you know what, if you are satisfied with how things are going, great. And I'm glad that things are going well for you. But I would say that the vast majority of drivers would prefer better pay, better working conditions, more transparency, more consistency in earnings, a future to look forward to, not just terminal right now. Pretty quickly. I don't think I ever made it across here that fast before. I guess you got to come Wednesday night at 9 p.m. to get there. Definitely good.
Pretty fancy at night, huh? It's like a club.
It is. It is like a club. So, see where this bus takes us. I know we're dragging on this live stream a bit here, up at almost 40 minutes. I'm not sure how much longer my batteries will last, but I do want to try to see this through and get to the lot and see what other drivers are saying, and maybe try to talk to some other drivers out there. Sean, thank you for chiming in. And yeah, that's absolutely accurate.
Quick charge if you want to get a little.
Oh, no, I'm good. Thank you. Yeah, I think I'm okay. I appreciate it for now, at least, as far as I can tell. Yeah, actually, I remember when Uber was only taking a 5% commission. They did it, I want to say, right around the beginning of 2014, because they cut the pay rates around the same time. So they said everyone was really pissed, and they actually cared about, or they were scared of drivers then, I would say. I was going to say they cared about drivers then. Maybe they were scared of the reaction, because when Uber cut the pay rates, I think it went from like $150 a mile to $125 a mile at that time in LA, and that was early 2014. So there was such a backlash that they said, oh, you know what, we're only going to take 5% commission. But obviously that was only a temporary thing. So yeah, it was nice. That lasted a few months, but of course that disappeared soon enough as well, along with another rate cut, I think, after that. In 2014, I think there were 3 separate rate cuts. It was absolutely absurd. Because when I started, it was $2 a mile in Los Angeles. That was November 2013. And then it went down to $150 pretty soon after that, and then $125. And now it's 60 cents a mile. So there you go. But at the same time, I don't want to pretend like it was like all like candy and roses a couple years ago. You know, there are a lot of people who say like, oh yeah, you could make like $100,000 a couple years ago, but truth is I drove for Uber that time too, and I could drive around for an hour and not get a single request.